So Apple TV Plus, in its infinite wisdom, has been quietly building one of the most stacked libraries in streaming, and nobody's talking about it enough. 7 original series, all of them worth your time, and we're ranking them today from the bottom of the list all the way up to the one that I genuinely think is the most original piece of television made in the last decade. All the streaming availability details, pinned comment right below this video. Let's get into it. We're starting at the bottom of the list with Foundation, and right off the bat I want to say being 7th on this list is not a diss. This is still extraordinary television, but it earns the bottom spot because it asks more of you up front than any other show here, and not everyone's going to make it through the first few episodes. Someone handed this show roughly $10 million per episode and said, adapt a series of novels that spans 1,000 years of human history across multiple generations of characters who never actually meet each other. People said it was unfilmable. For decades, literally unfilmable. Apple TV Plus said, hold our budget. Now, season 1 is dense, it is slow, it is asking you to trust it completely before it gives you anything back. And some people bounced. I get it, I really do. But the people who stayed got a season 2 that critics called an enormous leap forward, and a season 3 that landed to near universal acclaim. There's an Emperor character who, by season 3, develops this loose, almost philosophical stoner energy. Fans literally started calling him Brother Dude, and that is both perfectly accurate and impossibly entertaining for a show that's fundamentally about the mathematics of civilizational collapse. If you're a sci-fi person and you haven't touched Foundation yet, you are leaving something genuinely extraordinary sitting on the table. Just tack some patience going in. The show is called Foundation, and it makes the word unfilmable look completely ridiculous.
With your complications, conceiving is very unlikely.
Now we're doing a complete tonal whiplash, because this next one is quiet, warm, and deceptively brilliant in a way that sneaks up on you. A couple in their 30s in London. Charming, slightly chaotic, deeply in love, and absolutely not able to have a baby. So they think, okay, adoption, simple enough, right? Wrong. Nothing about this show is what you expect going in. And here's what it gets right that almost every other show in the space gets horribly wrong. It doesn't want your sympathy. It doesn't lean into tragedy like it's auditioning for a crying reel. But it also doesn't sugarcoat things into some warm, fuzzy fantasy where everything works out beautifully every episode. It sits right in the messy middle, and that's where real life actually lives. The two leads have chemistry that feels so lived in and genuine that you forget you're watching actors. You're just watching two people figuring it out together, imperfectly, messily, and completely believably.
Talk to your children! They're not my children!
4 seasons in, the show made a bold creative swing, jumped the timeline forward 6 years, and instead of feeling like a cheat, it felt completely earned. That is hard to pull off. Seasons 2 and 4 both hit 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. The overall series score sits at 96%. For a comedy, that is almost unheard of. It's a number 6 purely because it's the quietest show on this list, but do not let that fool you. The show is called Trying, and ironically, it makes the whole thing look completely effortless. Real quick, if you've been watching Series Finder for a while and you still haven't subscribed, what is happening? Genuinely, hit subscribe, smash a like, and join the rest of us who are making very responsible life decisions by spending our evenings buried in streaming recommendations. Okay, back to it. Now, on paper, this next one sounds dangerously close to a dozen other feel-good ensemble comedies you've already seen and half forgotten. Therapist, Grief, California Sunshine, people talking about their feelings. Sounds fine. Sounds like something Netflix made in 2019 that you watched 3 episodes of on a Tuesday night before falling asleep. But here's the thing. The people behind this show have Ted Lasso, How I Met Your Mother, and Scrubs in their DNA. And what they've done here is take the feel-good format and absolutely refuse to let it off the hook. The main character isn't charmingly messy in an adorable way. He is a genuine wreck, and the show holds him accountable for that in ways that feel surprising and real. And then there's Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford playing a veteran therapist with Parkinson's disease, delivering one of the most quietly devastating performances of his career. The dynamic between him and Jason Segel is genuinely one of the best pairings on Apple TV, full stop. Season 3 landed in early 2026 and brought Jeff Daniels into the mix, a sentence I didn't know I'd ever type, and yet here we are, and it works beautifully. Now, the first couple of episodes take a minute to find their footing, which is the only reason it's sitting at 5, but once it locks in, it does not let go. The show is called Shrinking, and it earns every single emotion it asks you to feel.
This review, I have to tell you, I am absolutely killing him right now.
Now we're shifting gears hard, because spy shows, right? We all have the image. Slick suits, martinis, ridiculous gadgets, someone dramatically jumping off a building while a bass-heavy soundtrack kicks in. Very cool, very sexy, very much not this show. Slow Horses is about the failures, the people who messed up, the ones who got something spectacularly wrong inside MI5 and got quietly shipped off to a miserable, crumbling office near the Barbican, to rot. Basically the spy world's version of being exiled to the worst desk in the worst corner of the open plan office. And somehow, that is more gripping than anything with an Aston Martin in it. Gary Oldman plays the boss of this chaotic little department, and he is magnetic in the most deliberately repulsive way. You should not like this man. He's rude, he's manipulative, he smells bad, it's implied frequently, and yet every single scene he's in, you are completely locked in. Kristen Scott Thomas is ice-cold perfection on the other side. The whole thing crackles. 5 seasons in, and this show isn't just maintaining quality, it's escalating. Each season adapts a new Mick Herron novel. New self-contained story every time. No filler, no fatigue. Season 6 already filmed, Season 7 already greenlit. The show is called Slow Horses, and it is the most underrated spy drama ever made. I will die on that hill. Top 3, we are in the serious zone now. Drop everything. I need you focused. You are placed into an underground civilization. 10,000 people living inside a giant structure governed by rules nobody fully understands, with questions nobody is allowed to ask, and one window to the outside world showing a toxic, destroyed landscape. That's your world. That's all you've ever known. And then somebody starts pulling threads. The atmosphere in this show is suffocating in the best possible way. Every single scene feels heavy with something unspoken, like the walls themselves are keeping secrets. Rebecca Ferguson holds the entire thing together with a performance that is fierce and vulnerable in equal measure. She is one of the best things on television right now, full stop. Season 1 hooks you completely and then ends in a way that should probably be illegal. And Season 2, which is genuinely difficult to pull off, is somehow better. Critics called it a masterclass in following up a successful first season, someone as far as comparing the long-form storytelling to Lost in its absolute prime. And with seasons 3 and 4 already confirmed, this show is playing a very long, very deliberate game. Do not start this on a school night. You will not sleep. That is not a joke. The show is called Silo, and it will consume you completely. Number 2. And look, I know, Ted Lasso at number 2 and not number 1? Just trust me, stay with me, because what's coming next is genuinely on another level. But first, this.
You coaching football, you are a legend for doing something so stupid. I mean, it's mental. Look at him.
An American college football coach with zero knowledge of soccer gets hired to manage an English Premier League club by an owner who secretly wants the team to fail. That setup sounds like a broad comedy sketch you'd see on a Saturday night and forget by Sunday morning. What it becomes is something that swept the entire television industry off its feet. This show won back-to-back Outstanding Comedy Series Emmys. It became the most Emmy-nominated debut season for a comedy in television history. 138 total nominations, 38 wins, and none of that happened by accident. It happened because this show figured out how to make genuine kindness feel radical, how to make real optimism feel earned rather than naive or preachy, and it pulled that off without ever once feeling smug about it. The cast is extraordinary across the board. The writing is warm without being toothless, and Season 4 arrives summer 2026. Ted coaching a women's second division team now, which is a bold swing that is entirely on brand for this show. Being number 2 on this list is not a slight. This is one of the best comedies of the last decade, easy. The show is called Ted Lasso, and it is exactly as good as everyone says. Probably better.
Hello, my name is Mark S. And I have...
And here we are, number 1. The top, The Crown, the show I think about more than is probably healthy, and I regret nothing. Work-life balance. We all pretend we have it, we all know we don't. But what if the solution was a surgical procedure that literally split your brain into two completely separate identities? Work you exists only inside the office, no memories of home, no outside life, nothing. Home you never remembers a single day at work. Two distinct people sharing one body. Sounds almost appealing for about 30 seconds, right up until you realize that is one of the most quietly terrifying concepts ever put to television. This show takes that premise and builds something that is equal parts psychological thriller, dark comedy, and corporate horror, and it absolutely nails all three simultaneously. The office is a character in itself. Sterile white hallways, bizarre departmental rituals, wellness sessions that are deeply, profoundly wrong. It takes the mundane indignity of modern work life and turns it into something genuinely sinister. You will never look at a corporate away day the same way again, I promise you that. Adam Scott is extraordinary at the center of it. The supporting cast, Britt Lower, Patricia Clarkson, Gwendolyn Christie, Merritt Weaver, all stunning. Season 2, after a nearly 3-year wait, pushed everything into stranger and more emotionally devastating territory. Critics called it trippy, fans called it emotionally resonant. Both are completely correct. This is the kind of show that people reference for years, the kind that changes what you think television is actually capable of doing. The show is called Severance, and it is the most original, most daring, most flat-out unforgettable thing Apple TV has ever produced. Possibly the most original thing on television, full stop. If you only watch one show off this entire list, make it this one. If you got some solid recommendations off this list, leave the video a like. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. Drop a comment and tell me which one you're starting tonight, or tell me my ranking is completely wrong. Genuinely, I want the argument. That's what this community is for. Make sure you've clicked subscribe so you catch my videos when they drop and never run out of great shows to watch. I'll keep making these as long as y'all keep watching them. See you in the next one.